What's up, everybody? This is Connor and Joshua with Chamber One Tactical. Today we've got a pretty interesting video for you guys. We've got pretty much a CZ centered video as far as their pistols go.
Yeah.
What we're going to be doing is comparing their high-end, more performance-driven guns compared to their more budget-styled handguns to see, is it worth it to spend a little extra money and get the performance, or do the budget ones work just fine? So let's get into it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to run through what guns we actually have that we're going to be talking about. Then we're going to run through the values on each one just so you guys have an understanding of what we're talking about when we talk about, you know, more expensive and budget. So the first one we've got in front of me is the CZ Shadow 2 Compact. This gun is a recent gun. It's been, it's a couple years, maybe a year and a half, 2 years old.
Yeah.
Very interesting gun. It took a long time for us to get our hands on this thing.
Yep.
But this gun right now, I saw it on sale for about $1,100. It was around $1,200 to $1,300 when it first came out. But, you know, over the $1,000 price point. So, in my opinion, it's a little higher end.
Yes.
A little more on the expensive side.
For sure.
And then we've got the CZ. This is an older version, but it's the CZ P07 Duty. And then they updated it, and it's just to the CZ P07. So this is a little bit older version of it. I've got the newer version, but we're going to talk about this one a little bit. And this one, the P07 in general, is probably around $450 to $500. So it's right there in the middle of, you know, your price ranges. And this is still a double action pistol, just like the Shadow 2 Compact. And then you want to talk about that one?
Yeah, so this one is the CZ P10C. Yep. This one right now, we're just kind of looking on Palmetto's website. They have these things on sale for like $375.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, pretty nice. I know we spent a little bit more when we bought ours, but that's pretty good deal for a firearm, especially from CZ.
So, I mean, the difference that you're going to see is we've got a striker-fired gun compared to the double action guns.
And then we do also just have the P10S, so a little bit shorter grip and shorter slide.
Yeah. So we're going to kind of do a rundown of the performance that we have through all these guns. And then at the end, we'll talk about, you know, what we'd recommend to you guys, depending on what your budget looks like.
Yeah.
So the first one I'm going to run through real quick is the Shadow 2 Compact. So this is going to be a all metal gun. So you have metal frame, metal slide, everything like that. This is going to come stock with a fiber optic front and a blacked out rear. This one is optic cut. You will have to buy a actual mounting plate, which is going to cost you at least $50 to be able to mount an optic on there. So that's just worth mentioning. This gun, in my opinion, is a very good gun. The performance has, it's just, CZ is one of those companies that they just live up to their expectations. So it's not like you're like, whoa, it's so good. They just do what they're supposed to do. So it's not surprising, but it is nice that you can have, you know, assurance that your gun is going to operate the way it's supposed to, especially for the price point. But you've got aluminum, nice textured grips. You've got knurling on the front and back of the front strap and the back strap. So you got a nice, very textured gun. You've got a little bit of options for your mag release, so you can change that out. It's got a nice size on it, so it's very easy to get to. You've got your option, your Picatinny up front for accessories or whatever you want to put on there. The one con that we've always had about this gun is the safety. It's just very small, and the fact that it doesn't have a decocker. And we've gotten comment after comment after comment about why we wouldn't carry it with the safety and all that. And it's, you know, that's one thing I do want to go over real quick. It's not that we wouldn't carry this gun. I will carry this gun. It's just I would rather have had a decocker on it if I'm going to carry it.
Correct.
That's the only thing we mean by that. And I just want to clear that up because I love this gun. This is one of my favorite guns in my collection. The trigger's phenomenal on it. It's got a very good double action, a very smooth and crisp single action. It's just I would have preferred a decocker on it. And I know you can let the hammer down with your thumb. We're aware of all that. We've been around guns for a long time. We know how it all works. We just also like to have, you know, the safest option, which would be a decocker.
Yes.
But it doesn't have it, so, you know, at the end of the day,
it is a con in our opinion.
It's a con in our opinion, yeah. So, do you want to touch on anything on this gun?
No, I think you covered pretty much everything. You know, it's more of a competition gun and a carry size. And what we're all talking about right here is carry. Yep. What's practical for most of you guys for carry? So,
sure. If you want to go over, you want me to go over the P07?
Yeah, I'll let you go over that one.
All right, so the P07 is going to be very similar to your Shadow 2 Compact. This is just going to have a polymer frame.
Right.
So, you know, this gun, the sights that we have on this one are not good. Very disappointed on the original P07s. Now, CZ has the, like I said, has the updated version, and I probably should have brought that one instead, but this one was closer to us. So I'm going to actually show you guys the sights that come on the P07 now, which is very similar to your CZ P10C sights. So it's, you know, 3 white dots that are metal sights, and they are night sights, but not totally night sights. It's not tritium filled. It's like glow in the dark kind of. So as you walk through the day, they charge by ambient light or sunlight, and then, you know, once you actually pull the gun out in the dark, they will glow. Now we have some opinions about that for actual carry, and I'll let Joshua get into that a little bit more when he talks about the CZ P10C. But the main thing on this gun, it's going to be very similarly shaped, like I said, with the current one where you have stippling. I mean, actual slide serrations up here. But with this one, very standard mag release, works fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But the main difference between the two is this one does have the decocker. And I really like CZ's decockers because it's kind of like you pull down right here and then it goes halfway, so there's not a loud noise where it slams all the way home, and then you just let it down. So then your next trigger pull from the actual decocker is almost like 3/4 trigger pull. It's not a full pull. So it's a really cool design. I've always liked this for carry. The P07 is one of the first carry guns that I had, and I really enjoyed carrying it because there's just that assurance that you can decock it, and as you're putting it in your holster, you're not worried about it going off or anything like that. So the texturing is not as good on this gun, in my opinion, as you can get with metal, but they did as good as they could with what they had. And this gun, to be honest, is pretty old. I mean, the P07s have been out for a while, so for them to still be competing with some of these new guns that have come out, it's pretty impressive in my opinion. But as you guys you may know, you may not, they actually just came out with a new version of the P07 that is going to have optic cut. So that was going to be my one con for the P07, but because they've now come out with that, and I think that gun's going to come in around 530 or 550, they've kind of fixed that for me. So if you want the optic cut version, it's now available to you. And they updated some stippling too. But again, this one right now, from what I understand, the standard P07 is like 450. Again, 1100. And if you want to talk about the P10C.
Yeah, so this one right here, and I will note that these two take the same magazine. So a P07 and a P10C are going to take the same magazines, 15-round magazines. All of these, or these three, are 15-round. So as Connor was talking about the sights on the P07 and this one, they are the same, and the fact that they're that glow in the dark, but it's not the best solution out there. And what we mean by that is typically when we sit there and we actually carry the gun and then you pull the gun out, the rear sights are so much brighter than the front just because it's getting more sunlight. And I don't really like that. In my opinion, the front sight is the most important. And if anything, I'd want that one to be a little bit brighter. So maybe if they blacked it out and maybe that front glue, showed up just a little bit better. But yeah, it's not the best solution, but at least they are night sights. So we'll give them that.
And metal.
And metal, yes. Now this P10C, it's got great slide serrations. The gun is so smooth, and this is true for all the CZs. It's just something about CZs. They're just so smooth. They really are. But it's got a polymer grip. It's got really aggressive stippling. As a matter of fact, some other people with soft hands think that it's a little bit too aggressive. I don't think it's too aggressive. I think it's very practical. I really appreciate it. It does have different back straps that you could put on there if you wanted to. We've also, on some of our smaller ones, put on some Talon grips as well. but I don't think it's necessary. We mainly just did it to give it some more character and add some color to it. I got an OD green one with a black slide, and I also put tan grips on it. I just kind of like the look of it, but the texture by itself is really good. You get a nice undercut right here at the trigger, so it doesn't hurt your finger like maybe a Glock. You can choke up on it. It's got a really low bore axis, and just overall the ergonomics on it are really comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a problem with this, with the aggressive texture on a CZ-P10C, then it means you're probably not shooting enough. Just to be honest with you, because I love anybody that shoots a lot and that shoots in the summertime and all year round where you're sweating and your hands are wet, you're going to appreciate the texturing that you're getting on a CZ-P10C. And then on the S, which is one of my favorite all-time guns in general.
Yes.
Just the coolest little guns out there. The S is going to be pretty much the same, but the texturing on the S's is a little bit, it's not as textured as the P10Cs. And I would assume that's just so as you carry it doesn't rub up against your skin and create like a hot spot. But I still put some grips on there just to keep it even more, smooth against my body as I'm carrying it. But these little guns have just, in my opinion, as time goes on and guns get better and better, and some get worse, but as guns typically get better, these guns still perform so well that you cannot count them out. They're just, for the price, they're so good. They shoot so well. The triggers on them, I don't know if you talked about the triggers or not.
I didn't talk about the trigger, but that's one of the best things about these, which that's just kind of a CZ thing. They're known for their triggers. But in the striker-fired world, this is one of the best striker-fired triggers you can get.
Yep.
I mean, it's so repeatable, too, is you just come to a very distinct wall, it breaks right at that crisp wall.
Such a good sound.
And then the reset is so short, it's immediate. And you're right back.
Yep.
I mean, it is one of the best triggers. And the triggers are the same in the S and in the C. I don't know. We haven't had an F, which is a full-size P10. I don't know if the triggers are a little bit lighter, but these triggers are pretty much the exact same.
Yeah. And I mean, again, on the P10Ss and the P10Cs, you got ambi slide stop slide release. And in my opinion, guys, when you take these guns apart and you go to clean them, this is in my opinion, overbuilt system. They are chunky boys on the inside. Everything that you look at when you're looking at these guns, it's overbuilt. It's made to run for a long time and you not have to worry about it. But these guns shoot so flat for them just to be standard, polymer frame guns. Like you said, the triggers are excellent. And for the price, you really can't beat it if that's the type gun you're looking for. So at this point, in general terms, we're talking about this. We have double action.
I think we got carried away bragging on this a little bit.
We got double action and we got the striker fired, so it is a little bit different. And the main video is about budget versus their high end.
Right.
So in your opinion, because we talked about how good they both are in their separate worlds, if you have to recommend one over the other, are you going to say that CZ's high-end stuff is worth the money more, or is their budget stuff worth more because of what it is?
So I'm a simple man.
We know. Simpleton or just simple?
Simple. We'll go with simple. So these P10s, for what they're coming in, they're going to match what most people need.
Yeah.
And again, talking about the price that we're seeing them go for now, about $375, $385 without optic cut. They do have optic cut options, and you're going to pay a little bit more for that. I wish ours were optic cut.
Yeah.
But the iron sight system on them are, still really good. But they work perfectly fine. The recoil is really low on them. They're very repeatable. As a matter of fact, I would say that because me and Connor train so much and we're shooting so many different guns to do reviews for you guys, I would still go with something like this to carry regularly over something like this, just because you can be faster with this gun, the CZ Shadow 2 Compact, but you have to go out and shoot with it a little bit, and then you get used to that gun, you're good to go.
Yeah.
This one, I don't have to go out and train with it as much. It's just a familiar feel with me. The trigger is just a little bit heavier, so I know exactly when it's going to break because it's such a clean wall.
Yep.
The reset's so short. So I can go I wouldn't, but I could go months without shooting this gun, grab it back again, and shoot it like it was like I had just shot it yesterday. And I can't say that about every single gun, but if I was recommending a CZ to most people, it's going to be this route because
Yeah.
you're not spending a bunch of money to get into it. And honestly, for most people, that's too much gun for them anyways.
Yeah.
You know, they're not really going to be able to use that gun to its full potential. So this would be perfectly fine for them. What
Yeah,
about
I mean,
you?
I agree with you because Joshua and I have had multiple people from church, from just family friends, actual family, that really haven't had much experience with firearms before. They've come out to our property and we've shot with them a little bit. And something about the CZs, when you hand somebody a CZ P10C, and it's all of them, but when you hand somebody a P10C or P10S, there's just something that it's very natural for someone to shoot a gun like that. And like you said, the main thing he said, repeatable. It's really hard to teach somebody to shoot because trigger, right? They're all either getting trigger freeze or they're slapping the trigger or whatever they're doing.
Don't know when it's going to break.
Right. The CZ is so easy for people to pick up on so fast because it's got, you can sit there and teach them. You've got your take up, it comes to the wall, you keep pulling, it breaks, you reset, you can hear it, you can feel it. It's just an easy gun to train somebody on. So I agree with you. If you're in a moment where you've got to use the gun and you're not having to think about the gun, you're trying to think about the situation that you're in, this is going to be one of the best guns to be able to do that because it's so repeatable. You know exactly what it's going to do because it's in almost all ways, other than not having an optic cut for ours, almost getting close to being a perfect gun, which is hard to say because, you know, I don't really think there is one. But CZ
We're going to
has
get
done
so much hate because we're saying that this is perfect over this.
and it's not that, and that's not what we're saying because, like he said, I can outshoot myself with this gun any day of the week.
We're just talking about practical for most people.
This gun shoots so good.
Yeah.
And it's so good with the trigger. The obviously the recoil is less. It's a softer shooting gun. The muzzle flip, in my opinion, is less. Everything about it is better, except for the fact that it's more expensive. And I would honestly prefer to carry something like this because I don't have to worry about it. I know that the trigger is, in my opinion, one of the perfect weights and pulls for a carry gun. But, you know, at the end of the day, when you're looking into, what's better for you? If you're a person that's just wanting to carry something and you're getting into firearms, don't go spend this much money, in my opinion. Get you one of the budget options because CZ, if they did not have their high-end metal guns, you would think that their polymer guns are their high-end options because they're so quality.
And I will say, you know, we haven't really talked much about this one. This one's just a little bit more expensive than this one, but I would still probably go with this one for most people than this one, just because you're still not spending.
Say what you're talking about. PO7 over
the
Shadow
PO7
2.
over the Shadow 2. For most people, until you start getting to that place to where you can actually start out shooting the gun and you need something a little bit better, then yeah, you can make that step and then you can always sell this one or keep it or whatever, but you're still coming in at what, like a third of the price, really.
Yeah. And we're not discouraging anybody against picking one of these up. If you have if you've got the budget for it and you're wanting to push yourself and you want to get a gun that you're going to be able to run a little bit faster with and you can put an optic on there and all that, then by all means do it because we did.
They're awesome.
We love the gun. But if you're a person that is really, you know,
simple,
getting every little bit of money together to get a gun, you don't need this gun.
Right.
These are going to work just fine for you. You know, in our findings, and we do shoot a lot, so I will say it may be different for other people if they just went and picked this one up and shot it compared to picking this one up and shooting it. But I really didn't notice too much of a difference as far as how fast I could shoot the guns and how well I can shoot them. Other than this one just didn't have an optic on it, so I was a little bit slower because it was a little shady and I couldn't pick up the sights as well. So, you know, at the end of the day, if you're on a budget, go with the budget options. You know, they're going to work just well for you. I think they're some of the best. CZ's budgets guns are some of the best ones out there. And then if you've got the money and you're wanting to expand your collection into something a little bit nicer, definitely get the Shadow 2 Compact because it is a great gun. And with all you're getting, it's actually a pretty good price point too, because there's some other guns that are similar to it that they're asking, you know, $1,700 for. So I think it's a good price point in itself also. But if you guys have any questions, or I know you guys, I'm not going to ask you to comment because I know you will. But if you disagree with us or anything, just let us know in the comments and why. But if you have any questions about any of these guns, just let us know down in the comment section. If you want to help out the channel, please subscribe. like and share. That's going to help us out a lot and help us to be able to get more content to you faster. And like I said, just make sure make sure you know what you want, make sure you know your price point, and make those decisions based off of the information you can find, because you may not need something this expensive right now. You may just need something that's a budget style handgun that's going to work just fine for you. So but just make sure you chamber one, and we'll catch you next time.